Hey guys, how's it going? Today I want to do another video blog, another rant video about various things, and just want to tell you guys what's been on my mind these days. So recently there was an article or a video done online about foreigners living in South Korea, because I'm living in South Korea right now and have done so for almost 2 years. And their question was, if foreigners had to change something about Korea, what would it be? And I want to give you my opinion on this. I have at least 5 things I want to change about Korea, and this is my top 5. And I'm going to tell you guys what I would change about Korea. These are the 5 things I don't like about living in South Korea. I mean, South Korea is a great place for many things, but there's also a lot of things that I think could be improved or could be changed for the better. Number 1 is the racism. I think there are some, I'm not saying every Korean's like this, but there are definitely some Koreans that are kind of racist, and they discriminate against people, against foreigners or people of other color. Like they treat Koreans differently from white people, from other Asians, from black people, from Hispanics. Like the way they treat them is differently, and there's definitely a problem with racism, I think, in Korea. It's a little bit more pronounced here than it is in some other Asian countries like China, for example. Definitely think Korea is more exclusive, and I think they're fairly they're fairly exclusive amongst themselves, and some Koreans can be pretty racist against non-Koreans. So that's number 1. Number 2, it's very difficult for a foreigner to become a Korean citizen. The only ways you can become a Korean citizen is to marry a Korean or invest $5 million into the economy, or be like a Korean ambassador to promote the culture or whatever. And those things are very hard to do, except for marrying a Korean, but that's also not very easy if you're not a citizen and you can't stay here for a long time. So it's very, very difficult to become a citizen. You can't just work here like in the US. If you're on an H-1B, just work for like 5 years, get a green card. No, you can't do that in Korea. There's no way to get a green card by just working. You have to marry. Basically, the only viable way is to marry a Korean here, and that seems a little bit strict to me. Or if you're a Korean American, then you definitely have a way to come here. But again, that's related to being Korean. If you're not Korean, then it's very hard to become a citizen. Number 3, kind of related to number 2, but like whenever foreigners do something online, like do online shopping, or getting a cell phone, or getting internet and stuff, they require a resident number, or what they call here is a 주민번호. It's a resident number that's only given out to Koreans. So basically, it's like a social security number. But they need that to do everything. And I understand if you're gonna do like buy a house or get internet or something, maybe you need a social security number, or even getting a cell phone contract. But to buy things online, why do you need a social security number? Why do you need a resident number for that? Like in the US, you don't need a social security number to buy something from Amazon or eBay. Like that's dumb. Like for me, it's just, I want to order pizza online. No, I need a resident number. I want to book a movie ticket online. I need a resident number. Doing anything online requires me to have a resident number, which is just stupid. Okay, so I want to change that. Number 4 is the work culture, and this is probably the most prominent bad thing about Korea, is that Korea is a very traditional, very patriarchal, very strict society. So it's very, very based on hierarchies, and it's very traditional, like similar to Japan, I guess. And Korea is a little bit, this is worse than China. I don't think China has it as bad as Korea or Japan does. But definitely when you're working, you have to pay respect to the people above you, your elders, your seniors. And oftentimes you have to work overtime, and oftentimes you have to do like what they call 회식, which is like dinners with your coworkers that you have to do. You can't refuse it, and you have to drink with them. And if you refuse it, then it's considered like bad manners and stuff. And then something bad might happen to you. And then there's this concept called nunchi, which doesn't exist in Western culture. In Western work culture, you can just go home whenever you want. You can talk to your boss about your opinions and stuff. You can do that pretty freely, I think. But in Korea, you can't just talk back to your boss. You can't express what's on your mind. You have to be like a robot. You can't like talk back to them like that. And if your boss leaves, you can't leave work until your boss leaves work. And those are the things that a lot of Koreans work overnight. A lot of Koreans work long hours. They work weekends, and that's very bad. Like I think that's probably the number 1 reason for suicide in Korea. And I know Korea has a very high suicide rate. Number 1 reason is probably because of the work culture, and it's really, really hard to enjoy a work-life balance. I know that A lot of Koreans, after they marry, they probably, like, the kid probably doesn't even see the dad because he's always at work, you know, and that's very, very bad. So that's another thing I would change, is the work culture. And number 5, lastly, is gender equality. And I think that for Western societies, they have pretty good gender equality. I think, like, the women have almost similar rights to men. They have the same opportunity as a man does, or it's very close to being equal. But in Korea, there's actually a noticeable difference, and the wage gap here in Korea, they're called the glass ceiling. The wage gap in Korea between men and women is like 30%. So that's huge. That's like the biggest in the OECD. So that's a problem. And there's a lot of Korean women here that's they're afraid of being harassed online, because recently there was a killing in Gangnam Station, and the reason for the murder was this unstable crazy guy. He was out to get women because he thought a woman hated him, so he killed a woman. And then this brings up the issue of misogynism. This brings up the issue of women's rights and gender equality. And a lot of women who want to talk about that online get harassed by men. They get attacked by men online who think that they shouldn't be talking about women's rights, because a lot of Korean men are very fearful, because they're traditionally in the patriarchal society. They're at the top of the ladder. They're more dominant, and they're afraid that the women, you know, will have more power. And then they're afraid that the Korean women will have more power than them. So that's why they're online, and then they're harassing them, and that's very, very bad. Like, in Western society, you don't see this as bad, because men in Western society sympathize a little bit more with the women, and it's not like in the 1950s where this was the case. But now these days, men pretty much support women, like the way they think, unless it's like the feminazis, but that's another topic we'll talk about later in this video. Yeah, for the women's rights, like equal pay for equal work and stuff, like I'm pretty sure a lot of guys support that in the West, but in Korea it's very different. And the women often get discriminated for their appearance. They have to get plastic surgery sometimes to get a better chance of finding a job, which is crazy. And you do have to submit your photo for your resume to apply for a job, so it's very different. And if they get pregnant when they're on the job, then they have a chance to be laid off, which is, you know, you could sue for that in a Western company, right? That's definitely discrimination. But in Korea, it's kind of normal, and they can't sue. Like, it just happens. It just happens very, very often. They don't really sue for that. I guess because the society is very different here. So yeah, like compared to the West, I think Korea definitely has a lot to improve in gender equality as well. So that's the 5 things I would change about South Korea. That's the 5 things I don't like about Korea. If they change these 5 things, I think Korea would be like close to a perfect country. So yeah, that's my opinion on that topic.